You are watching the clock. It was just 2 p.m. a moment ago, but now the sun is going down, and it is suddenly 7 p.m. You haven't moved a muscle. Your body is frozen on the couch or slumped in your chair, and while your hands mindlessly scroll through your phone or click between tabs, your mind is screaming at you. It is shouting, "Jet up, start the work." You are running out of time, but the message never reaches your limbs. You feel like a passenger trapped in your own body, watching yourself fail in real time. This isn't relaxation. This is active paralysis. You are exhausted from doing absolutely nothing, and the guilt is starting to burn a hole in your chest. By the time the day ends, you've convinced yourself that you are just a lazy person who lacks the discipline to succeed. But here at the Simple Psych Lab, we've been studying this exact behavior, and the data tells a completely different story. What if the reason you can't start isn't a lack of willpower, but an excess of self-protection? Today, we're diving deep into the hidden mechanics of your brain to uncover why you are stuck, and why the real enemy isn't your character, but an ancient survival program trying to save you from a danger that doesn't even exist. Most people assume procrastination is just a time management problem. Society drills into us that if we just had a better app, a pricier planner, or a tighter schedule, the problem would disappear. So we buy the books, we binge, watch productivity gurus, and we try to cram our lives into a calendar that looks like a game of Tetris. But here is the twist. For chronic procrastinators, more structure often leads to more panic. That is because procrastination isn't a flaw in how you manage your minutes. It is a breakdown in how you manage your emotions to your brain. A difficult or boring task isn't just an item on a checklist. If a project sets off feelings of self-doubt, fear of failure, or deep insecurity, your brain registers those emotions as a legitimate threat to your safety. We are hardwired to avoid pain at any cost, and to your ancient emotional center, a negative feeling is just as dangerous as a predator hiding in the woods. When you look at that massive assignment or high-stakes project, your brain doesn't see a career move. It sees a spiky monster made of pure anxiety. Procrastination is the act of choosing immediate relief over long-term benefit. It is your brain's desperate attempt to rescue you from a bad feeling right now by letting you scroll through memes or reorganize the fridge, and it secretly whispers, "We'll deal with the consequences later." Let's take a look at the battleground inside your head. Inside every human brain, there is a constant tug of war between two major players. On one side, you've got the prefrontal cortex, the sophisticated modern part of your brain sitting right behind your forehead. Here at the Simple Psych Lab, we call this the logical leader, or the CEO. The CEO understands logic, thinks about the future, and knows perfectly well that if you don't do the work today, you'll be in deep trouble tomorrow. It has goals, dreams, and it genuinely wants you to succeed. On the other side, however, is the limbic system, one of the oldest and most powerful parts of your brain. The limbic system behaves like a screaming toddler with a megaphone. It doesn't understand the future, and it absolutely does not care about your career goals. It only cares about right here, right now. It wants safety, comfort, and pleasure, immediately. So when your logical leader says, "We need to finish this report so we can get that promotion," the toddler shrieks, "No, that report makes us feel small and stupid, and I don't want to feel that way. Let's watch television instead." In that moment of procrastination, the toddler wins. This gives you a brief, shimmering moment of relief, but it is quickly swallowed by a massive wave of shame, and that shame is the real trap. The more you hate yourself for procrastinating, the more threatening the task becomes, and the more your toddler brain will want to avoid it again tomorrow. It is a vicious cycle of emotional self-defense that slowly destroys both your productivity and your self-esteem. There is also a social dimension to this struggle that often flies under the radar. For many people who look calm on the outside but are paralyzed by procrastination, the root cause is a crippling form of perfectionism. We typically think of perfectionists as the highest achievers, the ones who turn everything in early and flawless. But there is a dark side to perfectionism that leads straight to avoidance. If your entire self-worth is tied to being the best, then the simple act of starting a task becomes terrifying. As long as you haven't started, the project is still a perfect idea floating in your head. The moment you put a single word on the page or a number in a spreadsheet, it becomes imperfect, it becomes a reflection of your actual abilities, and that opens up the risk of being judged. For the perfectionist, procrastination acts as a shield. If you wait until the very last possible second to do the work, you have a built-in excuse. If the result isn't great, you can tell yourself, well, I only had 2 hours to do it. You'd rather be seen as disorganized and lazy than as someone who tried their absolute best and still wasn't good enough. You use your avoidance as a way to stay invisible to criticism. But perfectionism is a cruel master because it offers zero rest. There is always another task to manage, and the stress of trying to never fail is exactly what creates the internal battle in the first place. Another critical piece of the puzzle is understanding the hidden cost of your avoidance. Every time you procrastinate, you think you are saving energy, but you are actually burning through it. Procrastination is a debt you pay with interest. When you avoid a task, it doesn't just disappear, it camps out in the back of your mind, quietly draining your cognitive battery all day long. This is why you can spend an entire Saturday dodging work and still feel completely exhausted by Sunday night. You didn't rest, you just endured a 48-hour low-grade anxiety attack. True rest only arrives when the task is handled or when you've made a conscious, guilt-free decision to step away. To take back your life, you have to realize that the pain of doing the work is almost always less than the pain of avoiding it. The relief of being in control of your own schedule is a far better feeling than the temporary high of a distraction. So how do we fix a brain that genuinely thinks it is helping us by hurting us? The answer is the exact opposite of what you've been told your whole life. It is not more discipline, it is more compassion. Studies from university settings have shown something remarkable. Students who were able to forgive themselves for procrastinating on their first exam actually ended up procrastinating less on their second exam. When you stop calling yourself lazy or a failure, the task itself becomes less terrifying. The monster begins to shrink. Self-criticism is actually emotional fuel for your limbic system. When you beat yourself up, you generate even more stress, which makes you want to avoid the task even more to escape that stress. It is a deadly feedback loop. To snap it, you first have to acknowledge that your struggle is a completely normal human response to a stressful situation. You are not a bad person, you are a protected person. Here at the Simple Psych Lab, we swear by a tool called the 5-minute rule. You don't tell your brain you are going to finish the entire project. That feels like an impossible mountain to climb. Instead, you make a tiny deal with yourself. I am just going to work for 5 minutes. If I want to quit after 5 minutes, I am totally allowed to. This simple trick lowers the emotional stakes dramatically. Your toddler brain can handle 5 minutes of discomfort. It can tolerate a minor inconvenience. Often, the hardest part of any task is simply the transition from doing nothing to doing something. It is the friction of starting. Once you break the seal of avoidance and get a little momentum going, the logical leader takes the wheel and the toddler finally settles down for a nap. You'll often find that once those 5 minutes are up, the anxiety has dissolved, and the work itself is way easier than the scary story you were telling yourself about it. The next time you catch your hand reaching for your phone or your mind hunting for a distraction to dodge a task, I want you to pause and narrate exactly what is happening in your body. Don't say, I am being so lazy again. Say, I am feeling a spike of anxiety right now because this project feels bigger than I can handle, and my brain is trying to protect me by distracting me. By naming the emotion, you shift the activity in your brain from the panicked, emotional limbic system to the logical prefrontal cortex. You drain the monster's power and put the tools back in your own hands. You have to realize that productivity is not a reward you get for feeling good. It is a practice you do, even when you feel uncertain, small, or afraid. You are allowed to work while feeling uncomfortable. You are allowed to be productive while being imperfect. The goal isn't to wait for inspiration to magically appear. It is to build a relationship with your mind where you can move forward even when you are scared. As we wrap up today's session in the lab, I want you to completely reframe the way you see this struggle. Procrastination is a signal, not a character failure. It is your body's way of telling you that you are trying to do something that genuinely matters to you, and a part of you is just terrified of getting it wrong. That heavy weight in your chest isn't proof that you are lazy. It is proof that you care deeply about the life you are trying to build. You are the architect of your own mind, and you are far more capable than the stories you tell yourself in the dark. So today, don't try to overhaul your entire life or fix every habit at once. Just pick one single thing you've been avoiding, the absolute smallest version of it, and give it 5 minutes of your focused attention, not because you have to be a productivity machine, but because you deserve to feel the profound relief of being back in the driver's seat. You aren't a lazy person trying to become disciplined. You are a brave person learning how to negotiate with your own fear. If you felt seen today, and you recognize that screaming toddler inside your own head, then you've officially found your tribe here at the Simple Psych Lab. We believe that understanding the secret language of your own thoughts is the very first step toward a quiet, powerful confidence that doesn't depend on being perfect. If this hit home, please give this video a like. It helps us reach the thousands of people who are sitting in silence right now, staring at their screens, feeling like they aren't enough, because they just can't seem to start. Hit that subscribe button to join our community of observers, thinkers, and seekers who are all trying to be a little kinder to their own minds. And tell us in the comments, what is that 5-minute task you are going to tackle the second this video ends? Sharing it here makes it real, and it just might give someone else the courage to do the same. Thank you for your time, for your curiosity, and most importantly, for being kind to the complex, beautiful machine that is your mind. Until next time, remember, you are doing better than you think you are, and you are exactly where you need to be to start moving forward.